Hello, I'm Gobi, the founder of LD Talent, and today we're here with another extremely important founder in the future of workspace, Phoebe Yao, and she's going to be talking about Pareto and what it means for the future of work. So let's get started, Phoebe. What is your story? And I'd love to learn more about why you're working on Pareto and what you're working on.
Happy to share, Gobi, and thanks for having me. So I am building Pareto. We are a 100% female-led and operated business assistant that helps founders save time on business busy work, such as lead generation, market research, admin operations. And essentially, we seek to empower women in developing countries while bridging the gap for bootstrapped founders and growing businesses to more efficiently run their company. And I found Pareto after I took a gap year from Stanford. I had built my own degree at Stanford called Human-Centered Design and Engineering, which is at the intersection of human-computer interaction and product design. And I took this gap year to do research in human-computer interaction at Oxford and also at Microsoft Research in India. And out of that gap year, I realized that a lot of people in developing countries lack opportunities to access meaningful work, especially due to different cultural and behavioral divides that prevent them from navigating these cross-cultural protocols. So that was the inspiration, and right now we have 21 people on our team. We've grown quite a lot in the last year, and that's a little bit about us.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate how that really sets you apart, how you took a gap year, you went and worked at MSR in India, and you looked at how things work in developing countries, but also how things work at Stanford. And I think that really gives you a strong positioning in this space. So, you've told us a little bit about how Pareto works, how many people you have on your team, but I'm really curious a little bit more about the need for Pareto and how it helps address that need, the market need, really.
Sure. So fast-growing businesses don't have time to integrate dozens of software solutions or the human power to scale their repetitive workflows. So essentially, what we're providing is an extension to the founding team of this human-in-the-loop um, service that allows founders to focus on the strategic work that matters the most to them. And in the back end, we are building out this human machine orchestration platform that streamlines the human operations and provides some automated workflows that can make the work we're doing very flexible and also customized for different tasks.
Yeah, that's it's a lot more sophisticated than some of the stuff we see on Mechanical Turk, Amazon Mechanical Turk. It's sort of like putting the human in the center of work like that is something that can go a long way compared to what's out there right now. So yeah, so speaking of the human focus on virtual assistant work, this type of work, could you describe a little bit about the culture at Pareto and how does this brand and your media and your processes that you've developed and your design, the experience that you've designed, how does that sort of help not just the customer who's hiring virtual assistants and hiring people who can get work done, but how does it also help the people that you hire, the workers on the platform?
Totally. So we are a very empathetic, people-centered company. Our culture reflects our need for empathy from both the client side and also the worker side, because we've realized that our clients, our businesses that we work with, are looking to build a relationship with the people that they're working with. They want that direct but also seamless connection to quality people who understand their goals and who are essentially, as I mentioned, extensions of their founding team, helping propel their business forward. So they need to really have that human connection. And then on the freelancer side or on the worker side, this is also extremely important for improving the quality of work that they deliver, because when they have that connection to the client, they understand not just what they need to do, but also the end goals involved with where the client wants to go. And that added context is critical for completing these kinds of tasks and projects correctly. So not only that, but they're also appreciated more for the work that they do, because with that transparency, we encourage our team to be very open about the processes that we're going through to complete client tasks. And that results in a much more wholesome interaction and relationship.
Yeah, that makes sense, that when you think about people more and optimize their experience, they'll do better work. And so, yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, especially in a space where we don't think enough about that. I think that one of the things that I'd like to address is the market size for both what you're doing, Pareto, and also what we're doing at LD Talent. So well, let's start with you. What would you say is the market for this type of work?
So we're doing some really rough calculations here, but just based on the number of small businesses and growing companies in the US, it's like outsourcing is a huge market. And then if we split it up between admin tasks versus technical tasks like what LD is doing, it's also just, it's huge for on our end of the market. We're estimating for this, if we're starting off with this startup focus, it's around $10 billion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty big market. For LD, I would say that for the people who are hiring right now on our platform, they're generally spending in the thousands of dollars, and they're hiring developers for, in the hundreds of hours. So right now we think that the total number of people who are like our clients, which are basically bootstrapping entrepreneurs, seed funded entrepreneurs, and university labs that need to get work done through contract work, teams at companies. We think that market is somewhere in a similar area between 10 and $50 billion right now. And we compare with things like Upwork's revenue and Upwork market cap, and you compare with TopTal. You look at Upwork, it's doing several hundred million in revenue. TopTal is doing several hundred million. So we think that the overall market is certainly quite large. I think, though, that the more than the market that's being addressed by competitors, there's also this notion of a future of market, especially with the pandemic going on. More and more work that's traditionally done in-house is going online and is becoming more granular, becoming more about the task itself rather than this notion of an employee payroll where you work every month. So I think that the possibilities are quite large. How would you describe the unit economics of the business that you're working on?
Well, so this is definitely something that, like, as compared to a software only company, is going to be more complex. And I'm sure you're aware of that. Most of the costs are going to come down to paying for the human workers involved. And right now, our unit economics are somewhere between 50 to 70%, depending on the kind of task that we're doing and who is doing that work, if it's going to be a more skilled requirement or not. That all factors into it.
So
yeah, I'm curious.
When you say 50 to 70%, what does that mean?
50 to 70% gross profit margins.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Sorry to interrupt you. What were you saying?
Well, I was going to ask you how LD is thinking about this.
Yeah, so LD, all the developers set their own rates, and we charge a 33% cut on rates, and these are all client-facing rates. So client-facing rates up to $60 an hour, we take a 33% cut. So for instance, if a developer if the client is charged 21 an hour, the developer gets paid 14. And then between 60 and 100 an hour, the platform takes a $20 cut flat. And then above $100 an hour, the platform takes a 20% cut. And so, but that's how much cut we're taking. Our actual profit margins are probably closer to 10 to 15%, which is not particularly high, but it's decent because we have costs of, marketing to developers and clients, offering free trials, which I've told you a lot about before, and things like that, and dealing with disputes and things like that. So the costs add up, but that's generally our unit economics.
Cool.
Yeah. And but I just wanted to, ask you before we go is, why would somebody, invest not just in the being a customer of Pareto, but why would they invest in like the idea of Pareto and and what sort of future it shapes?
Definitely. So I think there are many different stories of the future work. The one that I believe in is the power of the human in the loop platform, and the flexible as well as the scalable potential of empowering people to do tasks. Ultimately, I think the service industry and work involving customer support and relationship building, that is all not ever going to be automatable, is my thesis. I think people want to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can find a way to scale that through an operations platform, then you can basically unlock the human potential. So I do think that that's, if you believe in that thesis, that you should invest in this idea of Pareto and the direction that we're trying to bring the outsourcing industry to.
Thank you, Phoebe. I really appreciate your time and for talking to us today. And I think we've all learned so much from you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.